Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the JA Career Speaker Series today. So we are really fortunate because we have some fantastic volunteers from McDonald's Corporation that are going to be sharing a little bit of information with us about their career paths, their personal journeys, their professional journeys, and telling us just what they do and how they got where they are. So welcome, guys. We are so happy to have you here. We are going to go ahead and get started by asking you guys to give us just like a 30-second introduction. Let us know your name, your position, and just a brief description of your job. What is it that you do for McDonald's? So I'm going to start with Brittany because Brittany was first on today. So Brittany, let's get going. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Perfect. I am Brittany Dangerfield. I am a business insights manager here at McDonald's. And just to briefly describe what I do, it has, three main components, a lot of analysis. So looking through data to help, my business partners make decisions, market research. So understanding what's happening in the market. And then ultimately a lot of presentations to kind of, explain to different groups of people what's happening. So that's kind of a high level what I do.
Wonderful. Thanks, Brittany. Mark, let's go next to you.
Awesome. Well, hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Rich. I am a McDelivery growth lead here in the dev office for McDonald's Corporation. A little bit what I do, the short and sweet answer is anything regarding the growth of McDelivery, our partnerships with DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub, that falls under me, but more specifically, how can we improve the operations of our McDelivery business, as well as how can we market the McDelivery business to our consumers. So a little bit about me and what I do with McDonald's. Thank you.
Wonderful. I love that term, the McDelivery. What is it? The McDelivery process?
McDelivery growth lead. That's right.
All right. We're definitely coming back to that.
Okay. I love it.
Welcome, Mark. Welcome, Mark. Happy to have you. Miss Vernetta.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. My name is Vernetta Bates, and my position with McDonald's is operations associate. So basically, I wear a lot of different hats, and I'm in operations. I consult the business operators and how to grow their business, and do a lot of compliance too. Compliance meaning that, well, you're not quite living up to McDonald's standards, so let me help you get there.
Oh, that sounds a little bit like an assistant principal. That's what. Great, great. And last but certainly not least, Avis. And is that correct? It's Avis.
It's Avis.
It's Avis. Okay, wonderful. Well, happy to have you, Miss Avis. And so tell us a little bit about yourself and your position and what you do for McDonald's.
Thank you all for the invitation. Good afternoon. My name is Avis LaFrance. I am a deployment consultant in the Dallas field office. And basically we manage deploying all of the initiatives that you see in the restaurant. So one of the most recent initiatives we deployed was the Glaze pull-apart donuts. I certainly hope you've had an opportunity to try them. We have a new setup for McCafe Bakery. And anything that you see in the restaurant, it kind of runs through the team that I am a part of. We consult with the owner operators on launching their initiatives. So we help them to prepare, plan, deploy, and maximize all of in the restaurant. Thank you.
Well, I will tell you, I have tried the pull apart donuts and they are very delicious. And I'm very upset that you guys introduced those into my life. Thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you for trying them.
You might need to be the person I talk to after this about my new addiction to them. So. Well, wonderful, wonderful. So we have some students that are online watching today, so they will be submitting some questions via YouTube. Also, too, if we have any students that come directly into the Zoom, you can hit the chat box and you can submit your questions that say questions to all panelists, or you can use the Q&A function and you can submit your questions there. You can also submit questions via YouTube, and then some of your teachers are messaging me via text if they're watching it on live stream. So we will take time for Q&A at the end. So as we get started, Jess is online and she is going to start us off with some of our panel questions. So Jess, it's on you.
Great, thank you. Thank you again, panelists, for being here today. Our first question is, what did you want to become when you were in high school? So think back and tell us, what did you want to become? Let's go and start with Brittany.
I'll jump in and I'll start and talk a little bit about if I can think back to when I was in high school back in the early 2000s and what I wanted to be. There were two main things I wanted to be. One was a lawyer and the other was an ad executive. So I think a lot of times we're really influenced on what we want to be based on television shows. So I saw a lot of really, strong, articulate, smart lawyers. I said, oh, I could do that, convincing, juries to think one way or the other. And the other was an ad executive. There was a movie that, I don't know if I can recommend, but it's What Women Want with Mel Gibson. And he was an ad executive and he walked through kind of, a big ad campaign. And though the movie's not about being an ad executive, it's about other things. So I don't know if I could recommend it to high school age children. It still really inspired me to kind of look to potentially doing something of that nature. So those were two areas that I do something similar, but definitely not exactly aligned to what I wanted to be when I was in high school. But, I think that's the good thing about young people today is that they have so many different avenues. There's YouTube, there's, your friends and family, there's movies, there's television, there's just so many different exposures to different careers. So I think that, that's kind of where I was inspired, but I definitely envy the young people today who have a couple more resources.
Thank you. That's great. That's great. And those two positions sounds like you like to get to know what's in people's minds.
Absolutely. Psychology and everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just nosy. That's what it sounds like to me.
That's another way to put it.
I'll go next.
Oh, go ahead, Alvis.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, Vernetta. I want to be real. I pride myself in being real. So I didn't really know what I wanted to be. So what I did know, I wanted to be successful and I wanted to make a lot of money. What do I need to do to be that? So during the time of school in 1980, and now you can figure out my age. So the problem with that was I chose a career based on what the popular thing was to do at the time, and computer science was the thing to go to school for. So I go to school for computer science and I get there, and back then, you had punch cards and you had to go to this location to run your reports, and you get your report, and then and people would steal the report. So I quickly realized this is not quite a fit for me, which was okay because I realized that very early on. So after the first semester, and of course I was just taking my primary courses, I decided to change my major to something that was more suited for who I am as a person. By this time I had learned a few things about myself, that I know I loved being creative and I know I loved being strategic. So what field can I consider that would match up with who I am? So that took me to business management, which was a great choice because I learned the broad perspective of business. And I think it has applied to all the various things that I have done in my career up to this point. And I'll tell you more about the things I've done later. Thank you.
Thank you, Avis. I'll go next. So when I was in high school, first of all, I am a junior achievement alumni. So I was in junior achievement in Fort Worth, Texas, way back in the day, and I'm not as brave as Avis to tell you what year, but I wanted to be an accountant because my cousin was a CPA, and I saw him make a lot of money, and he was able to travel. So there was a lot of opportunities there, but I was also torn because I really loved participating in speech and drama. I was a great debater. So I wanted to either be a TV personality or a CPA. So when I got to college, my mother said, pick one, and the one you're going to pick is accounting. So I did as I was told, like a dutiful daughter, and I actually finished in accounting. So when I got out, I realized I hate accounting. And I went back to my first love, which is speaking. So that kind of leads me over to what I do in my job. In the corporate world, especially a company like McDonald's, you have so many opportunities to do whatever you want to do. So I have my accounting background that helps me out in operations, but I also have my speech and drama attributes that I do, and I was a corporate trainer for 18 years. So I'll pass it on to Mark, and you can find out more information later.
That's great, Renetta. And now that I know you're a JA alum, you get to answer all the questions first. We have to regroup. No, I'm just kidding.
Awesome. Flashback to the first job I ever wanted, which was to be a professional NBA basketball player. So that was elementary school. I'm sitting down. I am 5'11", workout. Only played freshman basketball and transition. So, but in high school, I actually wanted to be a teacher. Really enjoyed working with students. When I was able to mentor at elementary schools and middle schools, really enjoyed the relationships I had with my teachers. I could really see myself, in the classroom. But in high school, got involved with an organization called Future Business Leaders of America. It's similar to DACA, where I was able to get the business, and the rest is history. I've been in business since. Studied business in school.
Oh, I'm sorry. We got a little bit of static happening there. I think we're okay now. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for that. So the next question is mine. So tell us how your journey led to your current career. What were the steps that kind of went from, like Brittany wanting to be a lawyer, or you, Mark, going from wanting to be a basketball player to, what is it, McDelivery?
Growth lead. Yep. McDelivery growth lead. Yep.
Yes, I'm gonna get it. So tell us a little bit about your journey. What did you major in college, and how did what were the steps that you took to get where you are? So Mark, let's start with you.
Yeah, awesome. In order to switch from NBA basketball star to McDelivery growth lead, no more free throw shooting. No, I'm kidding. No, I still play basketball in my free time. Still enjoy that. Still can be a passion. So as I mentioned, got involved in high school and Future Business Leaders of America. Gave me some great exposure to competitions and learnings about business. And then my next thought process was, well, I want to go to the best business school I can. And so I attended Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, at the Kelley School of Business. And so went there. I knew immediately that, Burnett, I'm right there with you. I'm not the best at accounting and finance. Steer clear of that. I'm not going to do that. So I got my degree in marketing. Through that, I think it's, really essential to be involved while you're on campus. And so really ensure that you're in different organizations, you're attending different career fairs, attending different company presentations. That's a great way to get exposure to understanding what you may want to do in your future. I was able to have an internship with PepsiCo Frito-Lay. That was a great experience. I was a sales management intern. But the biggest thing I wanted was a company that was near and dear to my heart and something, about. At the career fair, I met with McDonald's, and the rest is history. So just some overall tips: definitely be involved and engaged, whether it's in high school or college and student organizations. But then the next piece is making sure that you keep an open mind to what type of opportunities are out there. Thanks.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Mark. And I like how you talked about just how internships and just that involvement can really help you develop. And, Bernetta kind of alluded to this as well. It's because we spend a lot of time, figuring out what we like to do. But sometimes it's when we figure out what we don't like to do that really helps to drive us a little bit. So, Bernetta, I'm going to turn to you. What was your journey? How did you end up where you are now?
Well, after college, I went to work for a couple of different accounting firms, and I was a staff accountant. And I realized I do not like cleaning up somebody else's mistakes in their accounting. And at the time, I'm with Avis, computers were just getting popular in the accounting arena. So I would get receipts in paper bags. and had to enter all that data. I know I see your face, Brittany, and paper bags. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. There has to be a better way. So I decided to get a part-time job because I did like money. And I went into McDonald's and I worked my first shift. And one thing I observed is there's no supervisor around. What's going on here? Meaning supervisor, meaning a district manager for the management team. There was no supervisor. I was like, okay. And then I went a couple of weeks more, never saw a supervisor. I was like, there's something I kind of like about this, is that their bosses were never around as long as they performed. So that's what led me to start getting into the management program. And I realized there's more to this than just management. There were tons of other people that would come in and out of the restaurant. There were trainers. They sent me to class. I could do my speech and drama thing. I could work with people. I was my own boss. And then I was recruited to another company. And the other company, they do something with the crowns called Burger King. So that other company said, hey, come work for us. And not only that, in 10 years, you can own your own Burger King. Oh, I was gone in a flash. Like I said, money, 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 money. So what led me to this journey here with McDonald's and also with Burger King, because it's a combined career, is that the sky's the limit and you can do whatever you want to, because there's so many different things to do with this company. I've also relocated around the country 8 times. So I've lived almost everywhere. And every time I moved, I got more money. I got a bigger house. So if you're into money, that's one thing. But if you're into building a career and really enjoying what you want to do, and you don't have to be pigeonholed into a box, you can do marketing, you can do training, you can do real estate, you can do whatever you want to do, because working for a global company, and I want to key in on that, those are global companies, you can also go international. And I had the opportunity to do that as well.
Fantastic. And I learned something today too, just listening to you. So receipts in paper bags is not a good thing. I got it. That may have been where I was going wrong. Okay. Okay. So Avis, tell us about your journey.
I was thinking back, believe it or not, the day after I graduated from college, I got married the next day. So I am originally from Mississippi, and the marriage led me to move to Michigan. I'll give you the abbreviated version of this story. Lived there for a very brief period of time. And during the time there, I worked for General Motors. So I have also worked for some global companies. Moved to California, worked for Monolithic Memories in their operations department. And from there, I moved to Texas and I worked for Verizon. I was an entrepreneur for a season. So you can tell I was trying to find myself. I wasn't quite aware where I fit, but I did a lot of great things that afforded me the opportunity to acquire some great skills that I think still serve me well today. So don't ever look at any opportunity that you have as something you don't need. So you're in high school now, your first job may be McDonald's. You may be flipping burgers. You may be working on the cash register, but whatever it is, look at that opportunity as, what can I learn in this job that's going to benefit me in my future and that ultimate goal of that career that I'm looking for. So everything serves a purpose, no matter what it is. There's something you can learn. So take advantage of every opportunity to learn. So after my season of being an entrepreneur, which was about 7 years, I decided, I think I want to go back to the corporate space. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I was on Indeed looking at opportunities because I really wanted to do something that I enjoyed. I was over chasing the money. And I did that for a whole lot of years. So when I got over chasing the money, I'm like, what can I do and have fun doing it? So I'm reading in the ads on Indeed and I see this opportunity for McDonald's. And I say to myself, literally out loud, I think this would be fun. I think I want this job. And so 2 weeks later, everything had happened from them reaching out to me learning more about the opportunity, to them hiring me. And when I got the job offer, it was more than I ever imagined. And when I tell you, I have a blast doing what I do every day, because it allows me to use those skills that I enjoy doing, which is creativity and being strategic. And I find every opportunity to leverage those things. So I think it's so key as you're on your journey to the ultimate career that you figure out who you are and what skills you need to acquire to be in that space where you can enjoy what you do. It has been said that if you enjoy your job, you'll never work another day. And I truly believe that. I enjoy the job that I'm doing currently. And I can see myself doing it for years to come because I have fun doing it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love what you said about just like seeking the opportunities, right? Just taking advantage of opportunities and not getting caught in thinking that this may be wrong for you or right for you, but just taking the chance and time to learn from every opportunity that you get. So that's a great advice. Brittany, you're up. So tell us about your journey.
Absolutely. And I just want to echo what, my other panelists have said. I think our career paths have been very much trial and error. And as you're a high school student, it's impossible to know. I mean, unless you're like a singer or you have one of those burning passions in you, it's really hard to know when you're going into the business world what you want to do. So I, had a degree in business marketing. I knew there was a broad, areas that I could, kind of lean into with a degree in business marketing. I did some internships, and I think that was really critical in me really learning what I really liked. I actually interned at Enterprise Rent-A-Car and Walmart, which are very different companies, and I learned very different things, but I was so inquisitive when I was in the companies to really, do a little bit of everything so that I could see what really connected with me. When you're an intern, you're able to have access to a lot of executives that you wouldn't be able to have access to as a entry-level person. So really just sending emails out and saying, hey, can I have lunch with you? Can I have coffee with you? And really try to figure out what I wanted to do. But then my next step was in sales, which is probably not where I thought I would go and didn't really come from any of the conversations I had during my internship. So it was a great opportunity to come to Dallas, which I was really excited to do. And I worked for the Hershey company. So I said, selling chocolate. I mean, I was like, that's the easiest thing you can do. So I did that for a while. And, what I really learned in that role is that I really liked the data component of it. I really liked the actual drawing the insights to have a sales conversation. So, it gave me that understanding of what, my natural talents kind of enjoyed. And so then I got into insights. And so for the last 10 years, I've worked in insights in several different capacities. I've worked as an analyst at Walgreens. I've worked as an analyst for a women's clothing company. One of the passions I find young people have is with fashion. And so, I don't have the talents to, design clothes or do anything like that, but I was able to kind of get in through working in insights and still really be around creative people and be in that, fashion environment. So you may not be able to get exactly where you want, but you can get in the room with the people and still have that element that you really enjoy. And then, I've been at McDonald's for a little under a year, but, really just taking all the skills I've learned at all of those different jobs and being able to be really successful. And I think one thing I really enjoy about McDonald's is culture. I mean, I think the three people I'm sitting on the panel with are huge examples of the great people you get to work for. And, you can have the best job in the world, but if the people aren't good, it can make it difficult and challenging. So that's another thing I learned. There's the hard, do I like this job? Is it fun? Is it interesting? But there's also, who am I working with on a day-to-day basis? Are they people who enjoy their careers? Because trust me, happy people can make a happy team. So I think that's kind of something I, want to share with the group is, find good people to work for, because it'll make anything you do that much easier.
I love that. And just, all of the different places that you work, Walmart and Enterprise and Hershey seems like it'd be a lot of fun.
Well,
you guys can see I'm always thinking of sweets first and foremost.
We got a lot of candy, distributed throughout the table at every meeting. So it wasn't the best for my waistline.
Right. All right. Jess, you ready to start with the next one?
Yes, I thought that was great. I thought I saw a lot of theme in that last question in regards to, I think Brittany brought it up, where she was saying, do a little of everything and try to figure out what you want to do. and learn what you enjoy. I think that's great. And with this, that kind of leads into our next question, in regards to, she also brought up about who am I working with, think about the good people that you could be working with. So the question is, what does a typical workday look like for you? And what do you love most about what you do? What do you love most about what you do?
Start us off. What I love most about what I do is the relationship component of it. Brittany mentioned this. Some of the people, like the people on this call, you get to know them really well. You get to have interactions with them. And I know Vernetta and I often have conversations where we just laugh and talk about life. It has nothing to do with work. So liking the people that you work with is huge. But I think building relationships, and I think we all have referred to this in our responses, is so key. So I used to volunteer with an organization where we worked with high school students to prepare them for the college journey. And we afforded them the opportunity to meet employers in that process because we wanted them to know how to have those conversations. So we wanted them to know how to facilitate those relationships because we live in a world where much of the communications we do is via technology. But when it comes to a job, oftentimes you need to have some face-to-face conversations so you can make some connections where people will vouch for you or share opportunities with you or speak on your behalf or give you a recommendation. So I think that relationship component of any job is huge. I know when Mark came into McDonald's, I was intentional about building a relationship with him. And I try to do that with everybody, but you can only maintain so many relationships. So he was one of those people I was like, I want to give back. I would love to, coach or mentor or whatever way I can be of service. So what I'm saying in that is you want those people in your life, somebody that will take you under their wing. Someone did it for me and we all need it. So relationship building helps with that. What I love most about what I do is the opportunity to make a difference every day. In the role that I'm in as a deployment consultant where we manage the projects in the restaurants, we get to have interactions with the franchisees as well as the teams in the restaurant. And I think making a difference with them is huge for me because they go to great lengths to represent the brand. So they are our brand ambassadors. They're on the front line. So I love engaging with them and making them know how much we value and appreciate what they do for the brand every day. I also think the teams that I support allows me the opportunity to collaborate, which I really enjoy. I love working as a team because I think so much can be accomplished in the process of being on a team. And in McDonald's, the way we function is there are various disciplines, like Brittany is in business insights, Vernetta is in operations, I'm in deployment, which is an extension of operations, Mark is in operations as well. We all have our various roles, but our paths cross because all of it intersect at the end of the day. So you get to meet the various disciplines throughout your role because it all is interconnected. So that's why relationship building is huge and you need to work on that skill. So I know we love to text and I know we love to email, but practice those interpersonal skills where you having some face-to-face, meet someone for coffee, have lunch with someone. So those skills come natural for you. They don't create anxiety for you because as you transition from high school to college, LinkedIn and all of those things are going to become a thing and you're going to need to know how to operate in that space. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. I think a lot of things that you pointed out is great advice in regards to building relationships, making those connections, stressing that face-to-face interactions is a good thing for high schoolers and students to practice now, because that's something also that you take with you in whatever job or career that you follow through with, as well as collaborating and practicing those skills, those communication skills, it sounds like. So thank you for that. So Brittany, what is your typical workday like, and what do you love most about?
Absolutely. I think the one great thing about Insights is there is not a typical day. what I do is I work and support different areas of the organization. So that could be our leadership team, that could be our marketing team, the wonderful operations team that you see here. So there's sometimes specific projects I'll be working on, which then can make the day more typical, but also any of the, our owner operators or someone from our, MHQ or someone from our field team could call me or email me at any time and go, Brittany, why are we selling less Big Macs in this area? And it's, your responsibility as someone who works into Insight is to provide them some information on what's happening. So it really can vary depending on the calls you get or the emails you get on a day-to-day basis, which is good because sometimes you can, I think one thing I really enjoy and something that I think you have to have in this role is to be very curious about what's happening in the business. So when someone gives me a problem, I love that I have the tools, data or different things we have within that's provided from McDonald's to really dig into it and figure out what's right. So if you're the kind of person who loves to be right, because or loves to solve people's problems, or loves to be the person who has the answer, it's not that you're inherently just know everything, but your role is to understand the data, look at the data, and figure out what's happening. So I think that's the real great part of this job. And you can work with any level of business. I could work with a store manager to the chairman, CEO. If something's happening in Dallas and he wants to know it and he feels I'm the person who should know it, I'm the person he's going to call or email. So I think you really just get exposed to so many different aspects of the business. You're brought into conversations that, not everybody is, because you just kind of have the skill set of using and leveraging data. So I like that. It could be something that's intimidating, or it could be something that, could give you stress. But I think if you are a person who's curious and likes to do that, it actually is something that you eventually will learn to enjoy.
That's great. That's great. That's something that you pointed out there that was really good. Is what's happening, knowing what's happening, within your field as well as within the business, and that's something that we can use in everyday life, is just knowing what's happening around us, with the people that we interact with, in teams, when we're working in teams. So that's really great. That's really great. And Mark, what's your typical workday like, and what do you love most?
Yeah, certainly. So I think and as hit on this, it's a lot of collaboration, right? You're working with different teams. And so some main teams that I work with elevate the McDelivery business is working with our marketing teams, our ops and deployment teams, our teams out of headquarters, as well as our delivery partners. So working with DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, to most importantly, consult to our owner operators or our franchisees, the business owners, how they can grow their delivery business. And so lots of calls, lots of in-store visits, just to get a better understanding and pulse of how can we improve the operations or the marketing pieces of the delivery business. And so what I enjoy most about what I do is it's a growth driver of the business. I really love that this is the future of McDonald's, the future of the restaurant industry, and we're just at the ground floor right now. And so I feel like I'm part of a entrepreneurial innovation team within a large company, right? So we are very big now. I feel like I'm with a mini startup within a 500 company. And so I really enjoy that. And it excites me to be a part of what the future of the business will be. And making decisions and helping grow the business for our operators.
That's great. That's great. I think that's something that you point out that was really good. Again, that you stressed was the collaboration and working with teams, and then using that to be able to grow the business, particularly in what you do, the delivery part of it, and then looking forward to it in regards to the future of the industry. So that's really good. Really good. And Vernetta?
So what I enjoy most about my job is that it's different every single day. So when I leave, it could be at 6 o'clock in the morning, it could be 10 o'clock in the morning, and I go into a restaurant operation. It could be with an operator, it could be with the GM, and it could be with some of the team members. But what I enjoy the most is when I come in, I go in with a smile, I say hello to everyone. And it's almost as if I want to uplift whatever is going on, because this is a tough business. No bones about it. Because they have to deal with so many different personalities in and out of those restaurants on a daily basis. I don't want to be the one that causes them to have a bad day. So it's not as much as what I do, what I say, is how they feel when I leave. So if I can share just a little bit of my knowledge that I have gained over the many decades of being in this business, and I see those light bulbs go off, that truly makes my day. I enjoy what I do. I actually retired before coming back to McDonald's, and I've been with McDonald's for 3 years. I retired. And they recruited me, and I have loved every single minute. And like Avis has said, and Brittany has said, it's about the team that we work with. So I know with this generation, which I have a son that's in this generation, it's not about the money, because my generation, it was about the money, but it's how you enjoy what you do every single day. You can't tell, I'm actually an introvert. I don't like to talk, but I do like to share my knowledge. I like to see people grow, and whatever I can do to help and assist in that, that truly makes my day and my job and everything that I do worthwhile. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really good. I mean, some of the things that I picked up on that was basically one of the things is uplifting people. I like the fact that you stress that, to uplift people, and where you're looking at when you go into places, how what they feel is something that you're considering, and you want to share what you know, so that way, again, uplift them and move them forward. And I think the big thing too, I think that you're reiterating what others have said too, is how you enjoy what you do. So looking at, what you do, is this something you enjoy as part of it? So that's good. Thank you. Thank you. So Keisha?
Yeah, lovely. Thank you, guys. So now that you guys have answered Jess and talked about the things that you love about your job, now I want to dig deep and let you guys tell us, what is the most challenging part of what you do? So Mark, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge in this role is this is a new part of the business, right? Let's flash back to maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. Delivery wasn't something that McDonald's did. And so it can be really crucial to how do you adjust the mindset of not only the company, but also the owner operators. How can we get them to think differently, right? And realizing that although maybe today it's not a big piece of their business, that in the future, this is a customer expectation. This is something that will be crucial to being relevant and successful in the marketplace going forward. And so I'm having to leverage that data that Brittany provides, right, about our consumer, about the industry, right, on how can we adjust the mindset that, yes, drive-through is very important. Dine-in is very important. Those have been well established within the business. But whether it's my consumer demographic or even US students, it's crucial for the future of McDonald's to engage in digital format, whether it's through the app or through delivery. And so really just how do you create in a creative manner, but also in the business manner of dollars and cents, how can you influence those to think differently and innovatively about a new growth driver for the business?
Wow, I really, really, really love that. And you think of all of the skills that it takes to be able to really bring all of those things together. So I love that. Thanks, Mark. Brittany, how about you? What is the most challenging part of your job?
Absolutely. When I think of what the best part of my job is and the most challenging part, they could be similar because it's really solving difficult problems. I mean, right now we're in a time where, I always say, maybe you can tell the future and tell me what 2022 is going to look like. But, oftentimes in insights, we're using data to kind of predict what's going to happen. And there are always, unknowns that you can't account for, but to have some kind of, data points and a vision to what's going to happen is definitely a part of the role. And that can be difficult sometimes. I remember one time a buyer asked me, like, if I move this product from the top shelf to the middle shelf, how much more money can I make? And I go, I don't know, that's a hard one to quantify. And though that's not atypical to the questions that you can get, because people do have a really strong belief in insights and that it can't answer the difference of moving a product 8 inches. But, that's part of the challenge of the role. And it's navigating those conversations that can be interesting and fun. And but I will say another challenge of the job is really changing minds. Oftentimes you have to go against, what people really believe or people are really passionate about. A lot of people bring their own bias into, a question or a situation. And you have to really say, wow, the data says something that contradicts that, and help them get to the place where they can believe it, understand it, and a lot of people love to poke holes in data. And, that's like, it's a challenging part, but it's a fun part because you build that skill set to, have those conversations and navigate as many holes that want to be poked into your insights. And I will say another challenging thing is just sitting in meetings. So I think everybody on this call will agree with that in corporate America, if you didn't meet on that topic, did you really do anything? So, we love a meeting, 4 hours, 6 hours, the longer the meeting, the better. And sometimes that can be a part that's a challenge, I'll say. So I think we're getting better at that. But that's one thing that is definitely a challenging part of my job. Thanks.
Well, it seems like the meeting transcends into the nonprofit world as well. And I'm sure the teachers that are listening, are like, right on. Disclaimer. But Renata, tell us what is the most challenging part of what you do?
The most challenging what I do is basically my role. My role has a lot to do with compliance. So if I walk into an operations, the operators there, and when we talk about operators, these are the owners, and some of our owners can own multiple restaurants, some as large as 29, 30 restaurants, and some as small as 5 and 6. But they are very, very wealthy people, very powerful people. So when you walk in and you have to deliver bad news on things that are unacceptable and not in compliance, there's an air of disappointment from the restaurant leaders and anger from the owner operators. So managing those relationships that Avis spoke about earlier, you really have to develop a way to deliver that news without just tearing them down. And you also want to leave them feeling good that you can do this. Even though you're not making compliance today, you can do it later. Let's talk about how do we get there. So most challenging is delivering that bad news and leaving them with a sense of self-respect and dignity at the end of the day. Thank you.
I think that's even a challenging part just in life, right? It's being able to have those crucial and critical conversations. That's definitely a skill. Yeah. So Avis, what challenges you?
I would say ditto to everything they've said. In addition, I would say balance and prioritizing, because there is always more than enough work to keep you busy day in and day out. And so trying to prioritize what should be first in light of, you got the meetings and you got the conversations and you have all the other things that may be on your calendar, but ensuring that you get those priority things addressed. So I like to, identify my big rocks for the day and work on them first, because morning is the best time for me. And as part of my role, we are responsible for elevating execution in the restaurant, and it connects to what Mark and Bernetta does as well. So how do I influence the people that I interact with so that we get to the highest level of execution, that we maximize everything? When I started with McDonald's, being that I didn't grow up in McDonald's, like many of the people, this is the only job they've ever had. That's not my story. But one of the things I observed as an outsider to this environment was I felt like we had opportunity to maximize some initiatives and we weren't taking those opportunities. So my curiosity led me to look into that, and it has evolved into something where we kind of focus on maximizing now. But as Mark was saying earlier, it's all about changing that mindset so you can get the greatest return on the investment that they're making on all of the initiatives. So I think influence is a huge part, and how do you leverage your influence to build those relationships that convert into results. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, believe it or not, guys, we are coming really close to time. We only have about 10 minutes left. So we have a few student questions that have come in. So I kind of want to shift and let you guys answer a few of these questions from our students. And then we'll let you guys give your words of wisdom right at the end before we close. So coming from YouTube, someone had a question for Mark. They wanted to know if you were really tall enough for basketball.
Yeah, exactly. I'm 5'11", so I think Earl Boykins was a really short player, Spud Webb. So, but yeah, 5'11" probably doesn't cut it these days. 6 foot or taller, even 6'5" or taller. So, for any of those pursuing NBA basketball, I applaud you and best of luck. But if not, McDonald's is here as well.
Yeah. Eat your green vegetables. Eat your green vegetables.
That's right. That's right.
Another question from our YouTube viewers is, what is the secret to the fries?
You have to join the company to get that. That's trade secret. You have to be a certain level to get all those good details.
Great. So down in the Q&A, I think this one may be for Ms. Bernetta, because they wanted to know, where are all the places you have lived?
I have lived in Virginia, Miami, Atlanta, Houston, Frisco, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Little Rock, Arkansas. I don't know. I may have missed a couple.
Great. And we still have some that are coming in through the chat as well. So someone wants to know, are the people in the commercials really people that work there?
Some of them are. I've seen commercials where but usually it'll say like, these are real employees, and some of them are paid actors.
Great. So another question that has come through the chat is there anything you would do differently on the career path you selected?
I have an answer to this one. I think the biggest thing I would do differently was identify when a role or job or location wasn't for me, a little quicker. So, my first role, there was the 2007 collapse of the economy, and I was in a role that probably wasn't right for me, and I knew it pretty soon. I would have definitely going to have to work harder to get a role versus kind of just stay in a place that I knew. I didn't want to work in sales, so I identified that pretty quickly, but I stayed in it a little longer. So I would say, go with your gut. There's always, the job market is actually very friendly, and hopefully it is in 10 years when you guys are out there. So, find another opportunity that suits you better.
Wonderful. Anyone else want to give an answer to that? Is there anything you would have done differently?
I would like to add on to that. Great comments, Brittany. I wish I had been, if I could go back to high school, I wish someone had worked with me to do something like a strength finders. What are my strengths? And how could I lean into that earlier? But I learned what my strengths were later in life. So of course, by that time I had several jobs, and it's never too late to learn, of course, but I think the sooner you can learn those things that you're really passionate about and you can show up in the best version of you every day, that's going to be the best fit for you. Because when you enjoy what you do, you show up as the best version of you. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Mark or Vernetta, you want to add anything into that?
I will add, if what I would do differently, definitely in high school, I would have stuck to, instead of taking French, take Spanish so I can be bilingual. And also the other career change I would have done is I would have accepted that position in Spain, like one of the VPs had offered at one point, so I could get a more international flair to my experience as well. Because that opportunity came along before I had a family, so I had that opportunity. I should have taken it.
Great, great, thank you.
And I'm just getting started with my career path, but I would say honestly, no regrets so far. I definitely try to live by a say yes to opportunity approach, and so. That's been extremely helpful in my career at McDonald's. And so I've been able to move, I grew up in the Midwest, moved out here to Dallas, moved to Tulsa, moved back to Dallas. And so just being open-minded has been excellent. And just realizing that there are always positives to any sort of experience you're going through. And ideally, they're going to be transferable to whatever you do in the future. And so I'm confident as time goes on, I may have some regrets, but for now, it's been pretty great with McDonald's.
Yeah, great. Some people say if you don't have no regrets, you weren't really living.
That's right.
Great, great. Well, like I said earlier, we have about 5 minutes left. And so you guys have done such a great job in giving such keys to keys to success in the future. So I just want to give you guys a few minutes to share some words of wisdom with these students. What are some things that you wish you knew then that you know now, or maybe some words that have motivated you through life? So who wants to start?
I'll share.
Okay.
One of my favorite quotes is by Oprah Winfrey, and it says, "The whole point of being alive is to evolve into the best version of you." And that may be paraphrased. I may not have said it exactly right, but I love that quote because I'll say the 1.0 version of me may not look like the 2.0 version of me, but that doesn't make something wrong with the 1.0 version of me, because 1.0 I learned some things, 2.0 I learned some things, and I'm going to continue to learn because I'm evolving. So don't allow yourself to become static. Always be willing to grow. Always be willing to grow, because as long as you keep an open mind, it keeps you young and vibrant and living your best life. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you so much. Vernetta, you want to go next?
Sure. Number one is follow your passion. Because we have all said it, is that if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. The second is, I've always carried this through my career, even outside of McDonald's, is something that Ray Kroc said is, when you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you start to rot. So I always wanted to be green. I always wanted to continue to learn and to grow. Even as far as I am in my career, I still love reading and developing myself into a better person. Thank you.
Wonderful. That idea of being a lifelong learner, right? Always something to learn. Great, great. Mark, words of wisdom for our students.
Yeah, so this was my yearbook quote that I stole from Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said, people forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And so always be thinking about how you're impacting others. Always, think through how can you bring light into other people's lives, and how can you make the world a better place. And so just realize that emotions are very important. You can be the smartest, most talented person ever, but if people don't feel like you have their back in their corner and that you're truly invested in them, honestly, that talent won't matter. You grow together. One thing that I've realized really recently, take care of your health and wellness. Very important. So back to the basics of eating right, getting enough sleep, exercise. I'll be fully honest. In college, I did not fully take care of myself. I wasn't exercising like I should have. I was eating way too much food that wasn't very balanced. Wasn't getting enough water. Do not underestimate the basics of getting enough water, sleep, and food. That's your fuel to allow you to have the energy to be a positive influence around others. So take care of yourself and take care of others.
I love that. And you know what's funny, Mark, is even your presence here today just exemplifies the Maya Angelou quote that you said, you know, just showing up. Right. Great. And last but certainly not least, and it's going to take us out with the most profound and wise.
We should have had Mark go last. What I want to say is a privilege to do this with Mark, Avis, and Bernetta. I've learned so much from you guys. The one piece of advice and words of wisdom I would give to the group is be very proactive and diligent about, you know, figuring out what you want to do. No one's going to do it for you. I think, you know, so often what we know is based on kind of our circle of family and friends. And like I said, TV, that's how we know what careers are out there. There's probably, you know, 10,000 more careers than you could ever imagine. You know, you probably didn't know there was such thing as deployment or, you know, an OA or a McDelivery lead. Like there are just so many jobs out there. So one thing that I would really, really recommend is ask people, like, what do you do? You know, if you see someone, they're dressed well, you like their, you know, hair, their nails, you know, they are walking around like someone you want to be, you know, don't be afraid to say, what do you do? Because I have found all of the careers I thought I wanted to do. I found in my late 20s and early 30s by asking people, and I'm like, oh, wow, I really wish I was a chemical engineer. No idea what they did until I talked to one and they told me what they did. And unfortunately, I don't want to go back to school and pursue that. But ultimately, if I had asked those questions when I was in high school, I'd be so much better set to decide what major I want, to decide what my career path is going to be. So be really curious and be proactive and diligent, because your career is what you're going to do for the bulk of your time, for the rest of your life. You really have to take it very seriously. No pressure on making those decisions. So, but good luck, everyone.
Awesome. Well, I would just love to thank all of you guys for joining us and spending time with our JA students today. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of wonderful information shared. One of the things that's in the chat is that if you guys are interested in exploring opportunities with McDonald's, please let us know. You can reach out to JA and we will get the information over to our contacts at McDonald's. But again, you guys have been a wonderful group. We thank you so much for joining us today, and hopefully we'll see you guys again on another panel.
Thank you.
All right.